I'm going to be building the best Minecraft museum out there. Now, for those of you who might not know, I make a lot of art in Minecraft, which got me thinking, wouldn't it be awesome if I could build a museum that displays all of my best builds? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to be making today, which got me wondering, how am I supposed to fit all of these builds into just one building? And then I remembered a certain little item. Minecraft paintings are going to be the centerpiece of this entire project. I found out that you can use a custom resource pack to replace the default painting textures in the game, which gave me the perfect idea. Why not create my own custom Minecraft painting resource pack with a unique build for every single painting size? This resource pack will be available for download on my Patreon once it's all finished, so if you're interested in checking it out, hit the link in the description. Anyways, without wasting any more time, let's get to building. Before we can start working on any actual paintings, we need the museum itself. This museum is going to be the beginning of a huge personal city project I'm working on, so I wanted to go with a really modern design, using my logo as the main blueprint for the structure. The design includes a huge glass wall so you can see inside, 2 full floors, a main reception area, rooms for the featured paintings, and even a cafe with extra artwork hanging on the walls. Up on the second floor, I'm planning a luxury lounge that'll display some small-scale statues and have a few beautiful sculpture fountains. I started off by creating a small outline of my logo, which I then scaled up and smoothed out around the edges. Next, I stacked it all up and added a roof on top, and once that was done, I added a bezel for extra depth and placed the whole thing on a small elevated platform. Since I'm going for a sleek, modern aesthetic, I decided to use a lot of white blocks with small black accents to highlight the details. Then I began designing the glass walls, using blackstone and dark oak signs as pillars and window frames. I used a lot of real-life modern architecture as inspiration for this, and I think I pulled off the look I was aiming for really well. I also added a deep slate trim around the edges of the roof, then jumped into the actual roof design. I want this build to feel grand and almost magical, especially at nighttime, so I designed a glowing light pattern on top of the glass roof that really helps it shine when it gets dark. Once the exterior was done, it was time to plan out the interior. I divided the space into different rooms and started decorating the reception area. Again, I was going for a very modern and clean vibe, with plenty of lighting placed all around the room. I felt like a marble floor would go perfectly with that look, so I mapped out a marble tile pattern, then covered it with white glass to give it the polished, elegant finish. After that, I spent some time fine-tuning all the small decorative details in the reception. Now it was time to build the painting room. This space was going to be pretty minimal, that way the viewer's attention would go straight to the paintings themselves. I made a small path out of snowy grass blocks without the snow layer on top, which created this really nice soft gray carpet look. That path leads straight into the cafe lounge because I thought it would be fun to have some art on display while you're sitting down drinking your coffee. I added some seating areas and installed a few elegant chandeliers to make it feel that much more grand, and then I moved on to the next room. The staircase room was pretty straightforward. I followed the same modern and grandiose design style, which takes you up to the second floor. I already had a few small statue assets I had created before, so I started pasting those into place. Then I created the wavy light pattern I had used on the first floor and began decorating the entire room, adding some small fountains, some greenery, and just going through to finish off all the final details. Back outside, I decided to extend the glowing light pattern all the way around the outer walls of the museum, and I think it turned out really clean. Finally, it was time to decorate the platform that the museum stands on. I didn't have anything too crazy in mind here. I just started off by placing some small trees and foliage, and then I filled the rest of the space with large pools of water, which I plan to decorate with some modern fountain designs. Underneath the water, I repeated the same glowing light pattern from the roof, so the entire build glows at night in this really magical way. Then I scattered around the garden assets and textured the platform. The museum was finally complete and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Now let's build some paintings. For the first painting, I wanted to make a sculpture study lit with some really dramatic lighting. First, I sculpted out a basic shape I was happy with. Then I added some reference shadows and started detailing the face. Using very intricate blocks and techniques, I was able to bring out the tiny facial features and get a lot of depth. Next, I moved on to the body and clothing, using the same block palette to smooth out the forms and blend all the colors together naturally. Finally, I added a background, and just like that, our first painting was completely finished. But before I added it to the museum, I wanted to make two more. The second painting was going to be the classic art class still life. Some fruit and a glass of wine. I started with the shape of a banana and placed a few small ovals for grapes behind it. For the wine glass, I created a silhouette and revolved it around itself to get that initial 3D shape. Now, getting that glass texture to look right was actually really tricky. I had to remove most of the actual glass blocks, and the final shape was mostly an illusion, created by carefully placed highlight blocks. Then I went back to the fruit and began texturing the banana and the grapes. Once everything looked good, I gave it a background and moved on to the final painting. This one was going to be the most challenging of all. I wanted to create a highly detailed perspective build of a Renaissance-style portrait. Basically, this was going to be the Mona Lisa of the museum. I started shaping out the base and blocking in the general colors for the skin, hair, and the dress. Then I moved on to the face. And yeah, the beginning was really rough. At one point, it honestly looked more like a Picasso painting than anything else. But if you look at it from the side, you can start to see how many layers and tiny details actually go into these builds. This process takes a lot of time and patience, but when it finally comes together, the results can be incredible. Slowly but surely, it actually started looking really good, and once I was happy with the face, I finished up the dress and the body. Lastly, I added a background and gave her some ruby jewelry to finish off the look. Now that all the paintings were finished, the question was, how do I actually turn these into Minecraft paintings? Well, the first step was to make them actually look like the in-game paintings. I took the images into Photoshop, added the classic Minecraft painting frame, and pixelated them to match the in-game style. Now they definitely had that vanilla Minecraft vibe. Next, I used a website that makes it easy to create custom painting resource packs, and I just dropped the images into their appropriate painting sizes and added a few of my older builds as well to help fill up the set. This isn't enough to fill the whole museum just yet, but I'll keep adding new ones until the entire space is filled with unique artwork. After loading the resource pack into Minecraft, I placed the paintings up on the walls, and honestly, seeing them in game was really cool. And with that, we now have our museum and our paintings. Just like I mentioned earlier, both the resource pack and the map will be available over on my Patreon. Huge thank you to all my supporters who make these kinds of projects possible. I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure to drop a comment below and let me know what you thought of the build, and if you'd like to see more stuff like this. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.